Good morning, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more participants to join us, and then we will begin with today's Business Smarts. And we're expecting a few more to join us, but we'll begin the introductions and get that out of the way and turn things over to Tia Graham in just a moment. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Rogers. I'm the Executive Director for the Kelowna Chamber of Commerce. It's a pleasure to have you joining us today for today's session of Business Smarts with the Kelowna Chamber. Hopefully you're all doing well on this Tuesday morning. This session will go for about an hour. There'll be plenty of time for Q&A at the back end of that hour. Today we're pleased to join with Tia Graham, the founder of Arrive at Happy. She'll be more formally introduced in just a moment. And I think we're all excited about the topic, Boost Your Business with Happiness. Couldn't we use that a little bit more? Certainly many of us seeking out more ways that we can laugh just to get us through the challenges that we're facing. It's certainly a good remedy to help us with the challenges we face in the stressful environment in which we are working in. I do want to acknowledge before we get too far that we are, at least to those of us gathered in Kelowna, are gathering on the traditional unceded territory of the Yale Okanagan people. We thank them for their history and culture. I do want to acknowledge those that support the Kelowna Chamber of Commerce. We've been around 115 years, but as a nonprofit organization that receives no direct government funding, we couldn't do the work we do without our major corporate partners and members, the President's Circle members, including Rogers for Business, Interior Savings, MMP, and UBC Okanagan. If it wasn't for their support, we couldn't do the things like we're doing right now in providing this Business Smarts session. Also want to acknowledge our Growth and Catalyst members, many of which are leading businesses in the Okanagan. We thank them. They're listed and their logos on the screen for you there. Do want to thank our affinity partner, Chamber Group Insurance, the #1 extended healthcare benefit program for small business in the country. If you want to find out more about the group insurance plan offered exclusively through Chambers of Commerce, give us a call here at the Chamber, or you can check with our local broker, TD Benefits, to find out more information. We have a couple of events I wanted to remind you about. Our OC Speaker Series event set for September 28th, a week or so away. Exactly a week away, will be a virtual event. This we were hoping to be able to gather in person, but we've shifted that to a virtual event. So it will be held on the 28th at noon. You can check out information through KelownaChamber.org. Just look for the events and you'll be able to join us then. Next month in Business Smarts, we'll be looking a little bit more on the e-commerce side and solutions to help small businesses, exploring the benefits of a modern enterprise resource planning with Murray Cabell of Quaris Solutions out of Calgary. Murray and his team are proud members of the Kelowna Chamber. He's going to help us and look at some examples how to streamline your business processes to help your bottom line on a daily basis. Just a reminder, nomination is now open. You can find this information through the Kelowna Chamber website for our 34th Annual Business Excellence Awards, 16 categories. A great way to show some love for your local small business or organization, whether it's tourism or whether you want to promote a particular nonprofit organization that's really worked hard this past year. Pay a little bit forward by recognizing them. It's the gift of recognition. It's our Business Excellence Awards. Nominations now open. And just a reminder, as we always say, we're working in a collaborative way with Okanagan chambers throughout the valley to provide resources under the banner of Okanagan. We've got this. Also check out our Facebook page. We celebrate resilience and share stories of success as small business makes their way through the pandemic. Lots of resources there, including a transition guide you may want to download that would help you with a great amount of resources to get information, whether it's government funding or background information to help you through the last bit of that pandemic. With that said, I am now going to bring my camera live and bring in Tia. Tia has been standing by graciously as I work through that preliminary stuff. Tia, thanks very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you this morning. I want to give excellent. I want to just thank those that have joined us and give you a bit of background on Tia. She is the founder of Arrive at Happy. And I'm not sure many have that title that you have, but all of us aspire to it. And that's Chief Happiness Officer. Tia is the founder of Arrive at Happy, and as noted, that dubious distinction of Chief Happiness Officer. She's worked with dozens of global companies such as Goldman Sachs, Hilton Hotels, and Kashi to elevate engagement, sales, and drive bottom line results. With multiple certifications in neuroscience, positive psychology, leadership coaching, and employee morale, she has supported leaders for 5 years at Arrive at Happy. And just to give a bit of a plug, she also has, of course, a podcast. She's the host of Arrive at Happy Leader Show that's available on Spotify and through iTunes, and also available in our own backyard. So it's great to have you, Tia. I'm going to turn things over to you now to take us through the session. Welcome.
What if 2022 was the very best year of your entire life? What if everyone in your organization was filled with excitement and joy and optimism as they were working at home or in an office every single day? You, right now, are at the happiness gym. Now, I know that you know why you go to a regular gym. You go to strengthen your physical immune system, which of course is very important. What we're going to work on today is how to strengthen your psychological immune system and how to do that for all of your team members in your organization. In the chat right now, I would like every one of you to put in your name and your organization, and I want you to share one thing that made you feel happy while working last week. So again, you're going to put your name and your organization and think of one thing that made you feel happy while you were working last week. So, and I'll share as you guys are typing, something that made me feel really happy was I received boxes of my books. It was the first time that I ever got to hold them. And that's something that made me feel really, really happy while I was working last week. Oh, cute, Laura. And great that you could see your coworker. International Housekeeping Week. Yes, yes. My background's in hotels, so I saw a lot of posts of people around the world with International Housekeeping Week. Being in control of own business schedule. Awesome. And I want every single one of you, if you can, think of something that made you happy. And for all of the leaders, if you are a leader, you are a manager, you are a supervisor, you have at least one direct report, this is a great question to ask your team on a regular basis. Not what would make you happier, because people might say money, this, but what made you really happy last week? What's going well, right? That's called appreciative inquiry. All right. So my name is Tia Graham. I am the founder of Arrive at Happy, and I would like to share a quick story of how I started Arrive at Happy, and I'll come right here. And all right, so this is me. I grew up in northern British Columbia. I was just sharing with Dawn. So picture where Prince George is, 2 hours north at Powder King Ski Resort is where I grew up. And I have worked for 15 years in the hotel industry. This is my first leadership job. I was the director of sales and marketing for the Sheraton Kauai Resort. And I went on to work at many different hotels in the Hawaiian Islands, New York City, Istanbul, Turkey, and Los Angeles. This is my husband, Jim, and 2 daughters, Mackenzie and Audrey. And I've been running Arrive at Happy for the past 4 years. Now, positivity and happiness at work has always been really, really important to me. I've led sales and marketing teams in luxury hotels, and it was my job to keep them motivated and, of course, achieve multi-million-dollar budgets with these hotels. And as I mentioned, I'm from northern BC, so here I am living in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, around the palm trees. I have a wonderful husband, 2 healthy kids, a great job. And in Los Angeles, it's very important. You don't commute. My commute was only 10 minutes away, which is golden when you're living in the middle of Los Angeles. You know, friends, we had the ability to travel. From the outside, life looked really perfect, right? I think anyone looking inside would say, well, what does this executive, what does this person have to be unhappy about? Yet on the inside, I was crumbling. In the United States, you go back to work after 3 months after having children. So I had a 2-year-old and a brand new 3-month-old baby, and I go back to work at this extremely busy, stressful job. And I was trying to juggle all of these balls, not let anything drop, and life didn't feel fun anymore. And maybe you can relate to a time in your life where you're trying to balance so much, or whatever you're trying to do is not bringing you joy. And I remember one night in particular, I came home and, I had been working all day, fed the kids, my mind's still just racing with work. I put them to bed and I'm just exhausted. And I collapse on the couch, and my husband comes home around 8 o'clock, and I'm just beat. And he walks in and says, Tia, are you okay? No, I am not okay. What's wrong? Are you just tired? No, I'm not tired. I am stressed. I am angry. I am exhausted. I am overwhelmed. I am full of guilt. I am sad. It's all too much. Tia, I'm sorry you feel that way. Maybe you want to, call one of your sisters, see if you can reach out to someone. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll try and talk to someone. I ended up calling one of my really close friends that I worked with in New York City, who recommended this incredible business and life coach. I was trying to create this perfect life, right? But it wasn't working for me. And happiness in life and happiness when we're working, it's all part of life, right? Changes as our life circumstances change, and we need to be able to adjust. Now, that was about 5 years ago. And as I was the director of sales and marketing for the London Hotel in Los Angeles, I started building Arrive at Happy on the side. And what I needed to create was a life where I felt more in control, right? I didn't feel in control at that point with these 2 kids. And maybe you're feeling this way right now too. In the chat, yes or no, are you familiar with the science of happiness? Or as it's also known as positive psychology. Are you familiar with this? With these with terms, have you heard about it before? I'm going to see yes or no in the chat. Okay, I'm seeing some yeses coming in. So I had never heard of this before, and I want you to think about this because you are all members of teams. You might be a leader, so think about this for yourself as well as your team members. So the science of happiness started about 20 years ago, and the founder was the president of the American Psychology Association, Martin Seligman. And he looked around at all of this research that was happening within the world of psychology in the United States and globally and said, there's something wrong here. There's so much research on people that are really unhappy in life and at work, right? People with bipolar disorder, depression, schizophrenia, etc. And all that research has been very valuable. But what we need to start doing is researching people that are really, really happy at work and in life, and sharing that information with the rest of the world. This is Dr. Lori Santos at Yale University. The happiness classes at Harvard and Yale are the most popular classes in the history of the university. Here I am speaking at the World Happiness Summit that takes place at the University of Miami for 3 days. You hear from the leading psychologists and neuroscientists on what makes humans thrive. Oh, my slides are moving on me today. Now, one very important point about this is that the science of happiness and adult neuroscience, which is, we now know that adult brains, your brain is going to continuously change up until the month and you know, the day that you die. And I hope we all live to be very, very long, right? You are never stuck. And people in your organization are never stuck. We can always increase our happiness, increase our resilience and our well-being. And by doing so, it makes us more successful. And there is a direct connection to business results. So today we're going to talk about the SPIRE model of well-being, which is taught at Harvard University. And I'm going to talk to you about the connection between happiness and your success and your organization's success. We're also going to talk about, I'm going to give you 3 tips. I have many, many strategies, but I'm going to give you 3 tips that you can implement in the next 30, 60 days with your team that's going to boost morale. And we're going to talk about, what do the happiest companies do, right? How do they grow their revenues and grow their business? By having really, really, really happy teams. Okay, let's hope my slides don't keep doing a dance. Here we go. All right, so you all, if you haven't already, you'll receive a worksheet. You might have got it before, or if not, we'll send you right after. And it's the worksheet with SPIRE. And this is, I spent a year studying this with Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, who was the happiness professor at Harvard University. And what I want you to do on a piece of paper in front of you is I want you to write the acronym SPIRE, S-P-I-R-E. And I want you to look at this acronym, and I'm going to talk about each area. I want you to look at it with 2 lenses. First lens is on your own life. I want you to think about your own happiness and your own well-being. And the second lens is I want you to look at this as your organization, your team, right? Think about it in 2 ways. So let's talk about these different areas. And for yourself and for your team, I want you to realize that each of these areas of SPIRE are levers, okay? By putting attention and intention towards any of these areas, it's proven that it's going to increase your happiness, which will make you more successful at work and in all areas of your life, okay? So that's one. And know that you don't need to be, you know, a perfect 10 in all 5 areas at all times. It depends on what's going on in your life, right? Like I was talking about how I was really struggling when I went back to work after having my second kid. So think about what's going on in your life, and also you can look at it from an organizational lens. So let me talk about each of these, and you have the word SPIRE in front of you. So the S stands for spiritual well-being. This is about you feeling like you have meaning and purpose from your life, and this is personal. You might get meaning and purpose from spending time with your children or your elderly parents. You might get meaning from helping out with a local charity. You might get a lot of meaning from work. You might get meaning from doing competitive exercise. Versus this is personal, okay? And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, is team members and employees want to know that their work is meaningful, that their organization has meaning and purpose. Okay. Moving on. P, the physical well-being, okay? Physical well-being. So it's very difficult to be happy consistently if you're not taking care of your physical body. Everything you do with your body connects to your mind, and everything you do with your mind connects to your body. There's no separation. So getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, eating 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, moving regularly, meditation, right? All of these directly connect to our happiness. We think about these to stay healthy, but I want you to think about all of these things also to stay happy. And with our psychological well-being, I tell all of my clients and the leaders and executives that I work with to not watch the news on television, right? Read the news. Research has shown that when you watch the news in the morning, it makes you feel 31% more negative for the rest of the day. So I say, don't watch the news, read the news, right? So in the work environment, are you creating a space where people have time to move and exercise? Are you encouraging healthy diet? Or, if you have people that are working till midnight, they're gonna struggle to feel well. Okay, so let's move on to the I of SPIRE. The I is intellectual well-being. Children are like sponges. They learn and grow all day long. What do you want to learn between now and September 2022? I'm going to ask you guys to put it in the chat. What is something, if we were going to come back together a year from now, we're going to have a Arrive at Happy reunion, and you can say, I learned this. You can learn guitar. You can learn to be fluent in French. You can learn your boss's job. You can learn to launch a side hustle. You can learn anything. So in the chat, what is something that you want to learn in the next 12 months? Sign language. Love it, Laura. What else, you guys? More internal processes and systems. Thank you, Cheryl. And as you guys are typing these in, if you lead a team, I want you to be consistently asking your team what they want to learn, how they want to grow, okay? Learning and growing directly connects to how happy we are as adults, okay? And Toastmasters, I'm seeing that too, awesome. Okay, the R of SPIRE is our relationships, right? So again, this is a lever, and you can look at your personal relationships and your professional relationships. In the chat, what is the #1 predictor of happiness around the globe for people working, people in their life? What do you think is the #1 predictor of happiness across cultures, across ethnicities, age demographics? What would you say? And it's not money. I'm seeing gratefulness, relationships, connections. I gotta give you a prompt. Meaning the #1 predictor for your happiness, all of your colleagues' happiness, your family, your friends, is connected relationships, human connection. No wonder the pandemic has been so difficult, right? So I'm telling everyone, don't do text messages right now, do video messages, right? So by putting intention towards, maybe it's your marriage, maybe it's a relationship with your kids, maybe it's a relationship with your boss, your clients, your coworkers, right? Know that by investing in relationships and as a leader, helping to create team bonding, team building, and friendships at work, you're going to increase everyone's happiness. Okay. And then the E of SPIRE is emotional well-being. And think about, a lot of people are talking about mental health at work. Okay. So emotional well-being is 2 parts. It's boosting those feel-good emotions, right? Emotions such as joy, excitement, love, calm, pride, serenity, right? These are just some examples. If you want to read a great book on how to boost positive emotions, grab the book Positivity by Dr. Barbara Fredrickson. Positivity, it's an amazing book. Emotional well-being is also about having a healthy relationship with some painful emotions. So in the chat, what are some painful emotions that human beings feel at work and at home? Okay, these are emotions that we have, but we don't really like feeling them when we have them. All right, what are emotions? I told you some of the ones that feel good. Resentment. Yes, Laura. What else? Fear, loss, being unappreciated. Yep. Stress. Anyone had any stress over the last 18 months? Anxiety. Yep. Anger, guilt, apathy. You just don't care, right? Apathy. Wharton professor Adam Grant's been talking a lot about languishing. You're not extremely depressed. You're not happy. You're just kind of languishing in the middle, right? So these are all emotions that you feel, that your friends and your family feel, and that everyone in your organization feels, right? So the science of happiness and happiness at work also teaches about, let's have a healthy relationship with these emotions. Let's create a safe space where we can talk. And when you are really struggling, right, you might need a therapist, you might need a coach. Journaling also is a really great way to help when you're going through, these ups and downs. Life has peaks and valleys, okay? So the SPIRE model of well-being is something that you can use for your own life, and then look at your organization. So besides, we all want to be happier, we're human beings, right? Let's talk about a little bit more of business. Now, I told you my background is leading sales and marketing teams. I love sales. I love growing companies, and I love partnering with organizations so that they grow, they get more customers, their customers are happy, their team is loyal. So let's talk a little bit about bringing happiness to work. And with work, why does it matter, right? So here's a recent study that was done by Oxford University, MIT University, and a very large telecom company in the UK. It was a 6-month study with thousands of employees. And what the study showed is that happy workers are 13% more productive. There's some research that says it's even up to 30%, but this is a 2019 study that showed that when people are feeling positive, optimistic, well, they're more productive. And this isn't about working more hours. This is about when you're working, you get more done. And which leader, which manager, and for yourself doesn't want to have a more productive team, right? Our brain operates differently. We're able to see more possibilities as well when you're feeling happy while you're working. So in addition to productivity, happiness at work also contributes to retention. Everyone's talking about the Great Resignation right now. There are many people changing jobs, looking for new jobs, right? So when your entire team is happy, then they're going to stay, and it's going to make recruiting easier, right? Also, when your team is happy, your clients and your customers are happy. So it helps with retention and referrals. As I told you, I led sales teams for 14 years. Happy sales professionals sell more. Emotions are contagious. So someone who's feeling neutral versus someone that's feeling happy is going to make their customer feel differently. So it helps drive revenue and it helps boost their business. As I mentioned, the mind-body connection, when your team is happy, they're going to be physically healthier. You're going to have less sick days and less health challenges. We talked about emotional well-being, right? When you and your team are happy at work, then it's going to positively affect personal relationships. There's a wonderful book called Positive Leadership, and in it, it quotes a study that shows that when someone has a leader that is toxic or that is not positive, that does not make the person feel happy. Now, maybe you've had one of these leaders. Maybe you have someone like this right now. I've had a few different leaders throughout my hotel career that were not positive and it was not a happy work environment. And what the research shows is that it not only affects the person, it affects their families. So think about, you have someone that has maybe an unhappy boss, that makes that person feel unhappy, and then they make their spouse and children feel less happy. So this is a ripple effect to society, right? So it's really, 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 really important. And there are many other business benefits, but these are some key ones on why happiness while working really, really matters. Okay, so grab a pen and paper. I am going to give you right now 3 strategies to boost and elevate morale in your team starting today. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you are a leader of an organization or if you are part of a team, right? So either way, you can increase the happiness of the people in your team, in your company, right? And there are many, many. I'm going to give you 3 right now. So the first is positive feedback. Imagine that your leader comes and says, congratulations, I'm going to use Darren. Congratulations, Darren. That report that you put together last week was exactly what we needed, and it was actually more than we needed. That information helped our board of directors see exactly where we were going, and they have full confidence in us, and your report was a huge asset to that conversation. Think how that's going to make Darren feel. You want to be giving authentic, specific, positive feedback to everyone on your team on a regular basis, not annual review and not like good job, right? Now, you also, I led teams. You do, of course, have to coach for feedback. You have to help people grow. You have to have those hard conversations. Absolutely. If you don't, you're not a leader. You have to have those hard conversations, but positive feedback is key to people feeling happiness at work. And remember, happiness at work drives productivity, creativity, retention, sales, you name it. Okay. Number 2, everyone in your team and organization must feel that their work has meaning and purpose. In the chat right now, I want you to share, I want everyone to share, because it's a very important question. How does your organization help people in the Okanagan, people in Kelowna, people in Canada? Maybe you have international business too. How does your organization help? How does it make the world a better place? I want to know right now. I see there's hotels, there's Kelowna Software, Interior Savings, Economic Development Commission, etc. How does your organization help people, help the earth, help society, help business? Okay. Okay, Roma says her organization supports community programs. So supporting the community. Awesome. What else, you guys? How does your organization have meaning and purpose? Okay. Think about this and type it in. So you want to increase happiness of your team. They need to know that their work has meaning and purpose. Teresa Amiable from Harvard University has a great leadership book on this called The Progress Principle. So the driver of human motivation is feeling like you're making progress in meaningful work. So on a regular basis, multiple times a month, are you telling everyone in your organization why your organization is meaningful? What's the purpose of everyone coming to work every day? What's the purpose of their job? How are you making progress towards helping people and families staying in homes or properties, right? I'm looking at Leanne's. What is the progress that they're seeing of providing one-on-one business sites, right? Connecting businesses with support and information that Eva is saying. everyone in your team needs to be thinking about this and feeling it. It's not money that drives people. It's progress and meaningful work. And number 3 is way to boost happiness over the next 30, 60 days with your team is this concept by Harvard's Sean Achor, which is called falling up. Falling up. I love this one. Write this down. When you come across a really big challenge in work, when your team loses you might lose a big customer, there's COVID challenges, right? When you have a really big challenge, what I want is you to huddle together as a team and say, we're not going to fall down from this. We're certainly not going to stay the same. We're going to fall up. We are going to learn from this. It's going to make us more resilient and stronger. And because of this, we are going to be a more resilient organization. Okay. So those are 3 different things. So I want to do a quick, well, actually, I'll come to this. I'll come to a second. So think about the happiest companies, right? When you think of that, you might think of companies like Google or Patagonia, right? These huge companies, and they're known for just attracting people from around the globe that just want to work at Patagonia, or they really, really want to work at Google for many, many reasons. Now, these organizations focus on giving people balance, right? It's not just work 70 hours a week. Productivity doesn't nosedive after 50 hours a week, okay? They're focusing on a bigger purpose and a mission, and people buy into this mission. And they also create psychological safety at work. This is where people can say what they authentically think and feel and show up as their true self. It's not that you have this work persona and outside work persona. Everyone can be themselves at work, and that is psychological safety, okay? So in the chat right now, and this is going, I have a prize for one of you, okay? So I have a book that's coming out it hits bookstores on January 18th. It's called Be a Happy Leader, Thrive Personally, Stop Feeling Overwhelmed, and Achieve Killer Business Results. So there is a word, and the word is Arbeidsgeschlad. I butchered it a little bit, but Arbeidsgeschlad. This word means work happiness. Which country in the world has a word that means work happiness? Put it in the chat. If you get one right, the winner is going to get a copy of my book. I'm going to mail it to you. We don't have this word in the English language, but maybe it'll be coming soon. Okay. Okay, keep putting it in, and I'll be able to save the chat, so I'll be able to see the winners there. Okay. My organization is here to partner with other organizations so that they grow with creating amazing cultures from the inside out and growing their revenue. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. My email's right here, tia@arriveathappy.com. If you want to join I send out a newsletter every 2 weeks. You can text me right now. So if you text AAH to the number 33777, so that's AAH to 33777, you will automatically get added. I have, as I said, a podcast called the Arrive at Happy Leaders Show. You can find it on Spotify or iTunes, where I'm interviewing amazing leaders from around the globe. You can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Arrive at Happy, but it would be honored to stay connected with all of you. And before we go to questions from you, I'm going to ask you this question one more time. What if 2022 was the best year of your entire life so far? What if everyone in your organization was excited and thriving and happy? What would that do to your business results? And I offer keynote talks, executive retreats, consulting, and leadership professional development events as well. So it'd be an honor to stay connected with you. And now we can move into questions, anything about your own happiness or creating a really, really happy team so that your business flourishes.
Hey, Tia, thanks. And this is where everyone normally, when we do these things in person, there's big applause and everyone gets excited and the hands go up. Just to let those that have joined us, if you want to use either the Q&A or the chat function, you can do that. Also have the ability, if you have a question you'd like to raise, you can send me a note in chat and I can bring you up on the microphone and you can ask it in person. Tia, just how much are you doing in person these days? I know you're a member of our chamber and not sure where your backyard is, but are you engaging folks and companies?
Yeah, great. So I moved from Los Angeles to Kelowna, back to Kelowna a year ago. I left Kelowna 23 years ago. And so the majority of the organizations that I'm working with are in the United States and a little bit in Europe. I am working with some organizations in Vancouver and Calgary right now too. The vast majority of the talks and the consulting and leadership training that I'm doing right now is all virtual. I did just go to Los Angeles, or I was in Orange County. I gave a keynote talk for a software company down there about 3 weeks ago. And I'm starting to see a lot more inquiries for in-person than I was, let's say maybe 4 months ago. I'm definitely seeing a lot more because I was living in the United States and Europe for the past 22 years. The majority of my business network is in the United States. So I'm seeing that. And then also some hybrid too, where people are having events, but they're having a smaller group in person. They're having the option for virtual, but so yeah, I would see a blend, but there's still a lot of demand for virtual.
Right. So there's some questions coming in the chat. If you want to take over and you can read them and then convey some answers, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see a question about great ways to connect and have fun with team video chats. So one I will say is thinking about the I of SPIRE is intellectual well-being. Okay. So if you have a group, and what I used to do when I would lead teams, because you have all these different personalities on a group, some people are more extroverted, more introverted, right? There's different ways that people like to have fun and like to connect. So one is I would ask everyone on your team, and it could be anonymous or not, depending on your team, right? Is say, what are some ideas you have for creating belonging and having fun and having connection on video? I would actually ask, I used to do this to my sales team every single month instead of me coming up with the ideas all the time, and they would come up with awesome ideas. So that's one, ask them for their ideas and you can use those. Also think about the I of SPIRE for intellectual well-being. So people are happier when they're learning and growing, right? So what opportunities can you provide where everyone is learning and growing together, right? So for example, one company I work with is Sony, right? They're using LinkedIn. There's all these amazing LinkedIn courses. And as a group, they're deciding, yeah, let's take that course. And they're actually watching, I think they're 10 or 15-minute videos, watching it together, and then they're having a discussion. So they're doing personal and professional development and then talking about it, right? Sort of like a book club using online courses. And there's so much incredible content on the internet. So that's another one. Asking people, I used to do one called public shout out. So at the beginning of my sales meeting every single month, we would do public shout out, and every person, not everyone, it depended on if you wanted to, right? But several people would give a shout out to someone else on the team, something specific, something awesome that person did for them for the month prior. And everyone's, positive juices are totally flowing after this one. Another great one is personal storytelling, right? So you could do 2 truths and a lie, like everyone tell me 2 truths and a lie, go around and everyone has to guess which one's the lie. You could ask, I used to do questions such as, tell me a time when, a crazy adventure you were on in your life. Could be anything. What's a crazy adventure you've been on? and also the magic wand questions, right? I actually asked this, one of my clients is a law firm in Vancouver, and I said, if you could wave a magic wand and go anywhere tomorrow, you'd be there for 2 weeks. You can't bring your phone, no internet, no family. You're going somewhere for 2 weeks by yourself. Where would you go and why? And get people's imagination. You start to learn about personality. So Laura, I have a lot more. Those are a few off the top of my head, but tia@arriveathappy.com if you want more. Let's see, Leanne's question, are strategies for getting buy-in from other leaders in the area, with some consider the soft side of the business? Yes, and I'm actually giving a keynote talk to Hewlett Packard in Germany tomorrow, specifically about this, because a lot of the leaders are not on board. So soft skills, leadership skills are the ones that drive, people say hard skills, I say bring in the money, okay? So it has been proven by many people at the highest universities that having great listening skills, showing empathy, being positive and optimistic, etc., right, are going to attract people, have them stay, and have them work really, really hard for you, right? If you're an inspirational leader. So for those leaders, I would talk about the business metrics. You can show, and if you need the exact study, I can email it to you, but showing, for example, the Oxford study that shows happy workers are more productive. If you look at Sean Acor's research, shows happy salespeople sell 37% more, right? If you look at Brene Brown's research on vulnerability and being authentic at work, right? How that drives business results. So for those people, I would talk about the metrics that they care about, retention, right? It's so, when I ask someone how much does it cost when someone leaves, right? They leave for whatever reason, and you have to recruit, train, hire, get them all, it's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So happiness at work is directly related to your bottom line results and your profit. That's whenever I have sort of skeptics, I directly just talk about the business results. Top 3 reads for creating a happy business. Okay, number 1, be a happy leader. You can grab it on Amazon right now. I would also recommend The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acor. Oh my gosh, I have so many. A great one for personal happiness is called Happier by Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar. Oh, another really good one is Put Happiness to Work. That's a brand new one by someone that actually works with Sean Acor. Put Happiness to Work is a really good book with all of these different strategies and tactics that you can use right now to make your organization more successful.
So while we wait, we have a few more minutes left, so the last chance to get in some questions to Tia. Tia, you had mentioned actually another book, Positive Leadership. But
yes, Positive Leadership is another great one. Yeah, Positive Leadership is by Kim Cameron.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And obviously, you provided your coordinates so people can get in touch with you. I have a curious question, because one of the things that we've certainly flagged in the work that we do to create a positive business environment here, that where businesses and communities can kind of prosper, affordable housing and labor is an issue. So, obviously some of what you've talked about ties into ensuring that we have and retain the labor and the leadership that we need.
Yeah.
We always talk in terms of where we are in Canada from a competitive perspective. You mentioned some of the firms that you work with. So you obviously travel internationally. From a Canadian perspective, are we happy in the work that we do, and is that leading to, or helping us lead to be more competitive? Or
yes.
What's your perspectives on that? I'm curious.
Yes, absolutely. So there, ever since 2013, the United Nations and Oxford University and some other institutions put out it's called the World Happiness Report. And so since 2013, along with GDP, right, domestic, like the productivity of countries, they now are measuring GNH, which is called gross national happiness or gross national well-being. And Canada ranks in the top 10 consistently. And I want to say that the Arbeidsglad work happiness, that Roma and Lisa are the winners. It is a Danish word. That's where I got certified to be a chief happiness officer, is in Denmark. They're very happy while they're working over there. But yes, in terms of the social fabric, as well as the, even just thinking about education and healthcare, right? All of these parts that play in, Canada is significantly higher than, say, a country like the United States, just because of how Canada takes care of its citizens. Now, of course, are there ways that Canada can improve? Absolutely. But it's usually like 7th, 8th, 9th, it's quite high. And I wanted to ask if specifically, because you were talking specifically about Kelowna, do you have a specific question about attracting or retaining people here? I definitely see Kelowna has changed a lot in the past 20 years. There's a lot of people moving from Vancouver, and I know real estate's getting higher, but yeah, specifically, what do you see as opportunities for attracting and retaining amazing talent for everyone around Kelowna?
Well, I think, we're with an aging demographic, and we're on the cusp of that in Kelowna, and appreciate lots of people are moving here. Many of them are moving to retire. So the labor force needs have been significant, and for us to maintain a strong economy, obviously, whether you're a small business in the service sector or trying to attract highly skilled workers from another country. How do you do that? Is this, and maybe I'm answering the question for you, is this the potential for creating that competitive advantage to create more positive, so that it'll address or help at least address some of that labor force needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, word of mouth, and obviously the internet, right? Everything is open. So let's say you have a business here, and it's growing, and you're having people, and your team is really happy. Now, your team probably has friends that live in Vancouver, Calgary, right, wherever, Victoria, right, or even Penticton, whatever, right? And having your team is one of the biggest public relations strategies you have, right? Where they're saying, I love this company. Their friends know it, their families know it. So someone is at a different organization saying, gosh, my boss sucks. This culture is horrible, right? And then they're like, oh, I remember that Laura said, like, Laura, tell me about this organization where you're working again, right? It's this ripple effect. And there are awards, right? Best places to work, and all of these different things too. Focusing on the employee, focusing on the team member experience, and making that as strong and as happy and as healthy as you can be, the money will follow. The money will follow. It'll be so much easier to attract and retain. And you can use that. Like, let's say you have a recruiter that's maybe trying to find talent in Alberta, right? To come to Kelowna, let's say. You could tell the recruiter, our engagement score is off the charts. Everyone here we're at 85% or higher every single time we do a survey. Our retention is amazing. When you're reaching out, I want you to talk about this really happy culture that we have. It's not just about the job title and the money, but that's what people are looking for. There's been a huge paradigm shift during this pandemic where people are reassessing, saying, life is short. What do I really want to do? And how do I want to feel? And create the life for myself and my family. It's gone are the days where people are like, yeah, I'll stay at the company for 20 years. And, the younger generations, they'll jump every 18 months and not even think about it.
You've been gracious for your time. I'm going to squeeze one in and give one last warning. If somebody wants to jump in on a final chat comment or question, please do that now as we wrap up in the last few moments here. I'm curious, Tia, if there's been any research or work done with respect to happy at work means happy in the community, and by the extension, because we spend so much time in our lives and sometimes more times with the people we work than unfortunately with some of our family members if they're at distance, etc. So yeah. By focusing on this, has there been, is this build a stronger community when you focus on some of the principles you talk about in the workplace, that it also has the added benefit that when people leave, they feel better? Is there any research that's been done on that?
Yes, so the research is on emotional contagion and the neuroscience of mirror neurons. So think about how, when you arrive when you're working, or when you leave when you're working, right? That affects how you interact with. So let's say you might have a charity position, or you're a parent, right? Or you're right. I would say family and friends are who you probably spend the most time with. That directly affects them, and it gets passed on. And so in terms of, I haven't seen specific on work to community. The research I've seen is work to how you are to your friends and family, sort of your micro community, if you will. But yeah, I mean, the more we can lift up people while they're working, which I absolutely believe we can, because organizations are doing it, it'll be a positive ripple effect, right, to our kids, to the community too.
Yeah, and I take your note when you said don't start the day by tuning into the news in the morning. Take a little bit of break on that. It's probably a good lesson, particularly when there's such focus in the media and the mainstream media on the conflict, because that's what generates headlines from their perspective in a competitive environment. So yeah, it's an interesting.
They're a money-making machine. I'll say one note about this. Our brains have a negativity bias. We already are programmed to be more negative than positive because it's biological, right? We need to stay alive, find food, not get eaten by a lion. Our brains are programmed to look for danger. That's why the news capitalizes on this, right? So we need to work extra hard. So I was using that Spire, use extra hard to really stay happy home and while you're working.
Excellent. Tia, I want to thank you for your time. There are no other questions in queue, but so you've got the items and the right answer. That was great. So you're going to forward that, and we will provide the slide deck and some other information direct to all of those that registered. So that is our commitment back to the folks. This session has been recorded. We'll make sure this gets on our YouTube channel very shortly, and we'll share that obviously with all the attendees and also all those that we communicate to Tia. So what's your schedule? You got events and we're going to see about in the Okanagan, or maybe we'll follow up with the end?
Yes, I'm always out and about with my daughters and husband, but yes, definitely. I can't wait to come to the in-person events. For the next month or so, it's lots of Zooms.
And maybe we'll build on what we've discussed today. I know it was a very tight time frame, so you've been gracious for your time. Thanks again very much for joining us.
Yes, and please, everyone, connect on LinkedIn. It would be great to connect.
All right, thanks very much. Again, I'm Dan Rogers. I'm with the Kelowna Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank Tia Graham for being our guest on this edition of Business Smarts. We're at it again next week, or next month rather. So we look forward to joining you then. You can find out more information on the Kelowna Chamber website under events. I want to thank everyone today, and particularly thank Tia Graham. Thanks for the team here. They told me already, Tia, they're 100% happy, right, team? Yeah, they're nodding.
Well, good.
So we're great. So thanks very much for your time, and we look forward to engaging you in the community here in the Okanagan as we move forward. Thanks, and have a great day.
Absolutely. Thanks. Bye.